What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for February 23rd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition of the podcast, a non-football Sunday. However, we do have some things to look forward to today. First, let's go into some quick housekeeping notes. And the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ballot for the 2025 class has been released, and you, as a fan, do have a chance to get your voice heard. If you go to the link in the description, fill out your fan ballot, and if your ballot most closely matches the official induction class, you will win 2 VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. A pretty cool experience. So everything you need is in the description. Follow the link to vote on your ballot, and then there is a PDF in there that gives all of the bios for all of the candidates, but it's your chance to come and get a VIP experience at the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony in November. Be sure to reach out if you have any specific questions, and then follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue to spread the word. Check out our friends at On Pattison. Great coverage, especially now that the Phillies are in the thick of their spring training schedule. Get the newsletter delivered right to your inbox. We're featured in there a couple times a week. A lot of good people over there, so you will not be disappointed. All right, lots of Philly sports updates from yesterday. First, let's start with the Flyers. Good win over the Edmonton Oilers, 6-3, and Connor McDavid. Owen Tippett had 2 goals. Matvei Michkov had a goal and 2 assists. Sean Couturier had a goal and 2 assists, and it was a good win coming out of the Four Nations break for the Flyers. Maybe, just maybe, and again, this could just be me looking forward and grasping on anything to hang on to. But maybe they can put together a nice little run here. They have a few teams to jump over to get into the playoff race, but a good start. They've now won 2 straight, and they are off until Tuesday when they'll take on the Penguins down at the Wells Fargo Center. But good 6-3 win over the Oilers for the Flyers. Maybe they're going to start putting it together with the extra break here, and we'll see what happens. And then the other side of the coin, your team, your town, your Philadelphia 76ers, 105-103 loss. They lost it at the buzzer. The guy hit a buzzer beater over Paul George, but the game shouldn't even have been that close. They had to fight back. At one point, they were down 17, just zero defensive energy, zero basically defensive effort. This team is broken. That's now 7 losses in a row, and I don't know. Joe looks like either he's completely fallen off a cliff or that knee really needs to have surgery. Either way, if something needs to be done, get it done now. Like, what are you trying to play for at this point? I don't think there's any Sixers fans out there that are concerned about making the play-in tournament as the 10 seed. We'd much rather have the draft pick. So if it's going to help us out in the future, shut it down. And Paul George just, I don't know, man. I've been saying it all year. Damaged goods. This is really a low point. They don't play defense. I feel like they don't have energy at times, and I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's just the makeup of the players, but either way, something's got to give. But that leads to today's question of the day. Who's more to blame for the Sixers' issues? Is it the players or is it the front office staff for putting this team together? I think we could all agree that on paper, it looked like they would be a solid team, at least a lot better than what they are now. But I think it's gross negligence if Joe does need surgery to get his knee right, and they're holding it off and to try to make a run in the play-in tournament. So that's on the front office. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, but who's more to blame, the front office or the players? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. I know there probably will be our lowest question of the day participation rate that we've had in quite some time here because it's the Sixers, but I think it's equally enough to go around. But if there is a solution to Joe's knee problem and it's surgery, and the team is holding off and Joe's holding off in hopes of making that play-in, they should all be fired. But let me know your thoughts. Who's more to blame, the front office or the players? Hell, you can even throw in the coach if you want to do that. I mean, he's not getting the most out of his players. Maybe that's on it. I don't know. Lots of blame to go around, but anyway, Phillies opened up spring training yesterday. Walk-off loss to the Tigers, but it's spring training. It doesn't really matter. And we learned nothing yesterday about the lineup, as Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm were the only regulars to actually play. But we're underway, and I guess that's all that matters. Aiden Miller and Justin Crawford got some playing time. They actually are back at it today at Baycare Field, and that game is actually on TV. So looking forward to watching a little bit of Phils this afternoon as I'm getting some things done. But let's recap yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, as we started the spring training slate, what was the vibe check for the Phillies? Surprisingly, 83% of you feel good about this Phillies team, and I expected that to be a lot lower. I'm more in the we'll wait and see here. Excuse me. Nobody voted that they felt bad about this team. Most people were either or good about it. I did have one. It's a lady I work with. She's from New York, but I did have one Let's Go Mets. So it begins here in February. The Mets-Phillies rivalry is already underway. But thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later in the show. And the Union started the season with a win, 4-2 over Orlando. Ty Barabo had 2 goals. Daniel Gazdag added another. Good start, nice win. Again, I don't expect them to be good, but it's nice to win your first game, especially on the road, and score 4 goals in doing so. So kudos to the Union, and we'll have more Union coverage. Hopefully, maybe they'll give us a little side thing to look forward to this summer. And for the first time since probably late July, we do not have an Eagles update today. Nothing really happened with the Eagles, and I guess that's a good thing, but this is your daily reminder that we are Super Bowl champions. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of good things happening with their Sports Fan Network. You can go to clashingconferences.com for details. Get your voice heard as well. And the podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. But doing great things over there, so check them out and support them. And then, of course, go to Philly Goat. It's going to be warmer soon. This week it's supposed to be in the 50s. Go get some summer gear, spring gear from Philly Goat. You want to update your shoe collection. They got you covered. They got those canvas loafers, the fans, the Schmitties, 2 of my favorites. I also wear the Cape Mays all the time. Also get the slides for the pool. Everything you need is at Philly Goat. So go check them out. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go back to 2019. And on this day in 2019, it was the Flyers Penguins playing in the NHL Stadium Series down at the Link. And the fans were treated to a good one in a little bit of a light rain coming down at Lincoln Financial Field. Flyers were down 3-2 late in the third period. Pulled the goalie and James Van Riemsdyk power play goal with 3 minutes left. They were down 3-1. James Van Riemsdyk's power play goal made it 3-2. And then Jacob Voracek, they pulled the goalie, scored with 20 seconds left to send it into overtime, where Claude Giroux, 2 minutes into overtime, hit the overtime winner to give the Flyers the 4-3 lead. For the game, Jacob Voracek had a goal and 2 assists. Sean Couturier added the other goal for the Flyers. And because it was Stadium Series, there was a lot of pomp and circumstance going around. Keith Urban and the Glorious Sons performed during the intermissions. The pregame ceremonies included, and I'm going to put this in quotes, Philadelphia sports legends Jimmy Rollins, Jason Kelce, Tobias Harris, Boban Marjanovic, and Bobby Clark. Yes, the Sixers were represented by Tobias Harris and Boban Marjanovic in the pregame ceremonies. I mean, okay. Lauren Hart sang the national anthem, and Doug Peterson, Super Bowl champion coach of the Eagles, dropped the ceremonial first puck. But on this day in 2019, Flyers beat the Penguins 4-3 in overtime in the NHL Stadium Series in a game played at Lincoln Financial Field. Tobias Harris and Boban Marjanovic. Really? You couldn't have gotten anybody else? Those were your Sixers legends? I blame the Sixers for that. Anyway, not going to harp on that. Finally today, our Black History legacy maker with Philly ties is Fred Carter. The Mad Dog is a Philly native, graduated from Ben Franklin High School, and went to Mount St. Mary's, where he graduated, where he played for another Philly legend, Jim Phelan. He was a third-round pick of the Washington Bullets in 1969. Unfortunately for Fred Carter, he was a part of some pretty bad Sixers team. He has the dubious distinction of being a 20-point-per-game scorer on that 1972-73 Sixers team that went 9-73, which is the second worst team in the history of the NBA. The 2011-2012 Charlotte Bobcats have that distinction, took those Sixers teams off the hook. But I remember throughout the process and all of those low times for the Sixers, there was a lot of comparisons to that 1972-73 team that won 9 games. And poor Fred, through no fault of his own, was the leading scorer on the worst team in NBA history. To his credit, though, he did have a solid NBA career, played 6 years total in Philly, averaged 19 points per game, got into coaching after he retired. He went back to Mount St. Mary's and coached their women's team, and then was a long-time NBA assistant, including here with the Sixers. And then in 1993, he was named interim coach and then received that job full-time, becoming the first ever African-American coach for the Sixers. And again, poor Fred can't catch a break, was the coach of some pretty horrific Sixers teams as well. Went 32-76 during his season and a half here. However, being the first black coach for the Sixers, he did set the stage for guys like Eddie Jordan, Randy Ayers, Doc Rivers, Mo Cheeks. So Fred Carter, despite the fact you were put in a bad situation as a player, a bad situation as a coach, you were dealt the crappy hand and you made the most of it. So thank you, Mad Dog, for kind of breaking barriers and setting the stage for some of the future Sixer coaches in the NBA. But Fred Carter, the Mad Dog, a Philadelphia native, Sixers player, Sixers coach, is today's Black History legacy maker with Philly ties, becoming the first black coach in Sixers history. Thank you, Mad Dog. And it's a shame that you got dealt some pretty bad hands there as a player as well as a coach. But to your credit, you always remain positive. He always talked about it. So shout out to you, Fred. On this day in 2019, Flyers beat the Penguins 4-3 in the Stadium Series at Lincoln Financial Field in overtime when Claude Giroux hit the game winner, a game where the Flyers overcame a 3-1 deficit in a little bit of a rain. We'll have more on the Phillies. Let me know your thoughts on the Sixers. Who's to blame? Is it the front office? Is it the players? Does it even matter? Is it the whole team, as Jason Kelsey would say? Probably. But we're still Super Bowl champions. We are Super Bowl champions. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 23rd, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Sunday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.